How's it going, everybody? This is Novakast back with another video. We're going to be talking about, you guessed it, Greg once again. And oh boy, this recent video he's posted, it's 30 minutes long, titled, Gotta Say Goodbye for a Little Bit. So yeah, already we're off to a very, very good start. And I should point out too that when it comes to this video, or at least how I'm going to go about this, unlike my other videos where I go by piece, or basically just doing a quick summary, because this is 30 minutes, just so people think I'm, going through it thoroughly, I pretty much took notes, watched the video, so you guys don't have to, or listen to it, and pretty much brought up or wrote down the points that figured be worth discussing. So, and this is basically just going by each one in order of what he discussed. And oh boy, there's a lot in this video. Honestly, a lot of unnecessary shit, but yeah. So first part, he bullshits about talking about a shirt. I don't know why, but whatever. He then proceeds to talk about relationships with Kai. Brings up the underage thing for his relationship. Now, for those who don't remember, there was that controversy with supposedly Kai not being the exact age needed to, or at least for Onision to be in a relationship with them. And there was also the controversy of Greg possibly breaking the quote-unquote Man's Act, or Man Act, I believe it was. I know I'm going to be corrected on that because I know I screw up the title. But basically, that law states that it is illegal. I mean, I think it should be obvious at this point that it is illegal to transport a person who is underage to another state where the legal requirement for dating, marriage, or sex is different than the state that they're already in. And there was that controversy of Kai being a particular age, being moved, so that way Onision can marry them. So, yeah. I know that was huge drama, but at this point, it's still, I will say with a lot of people, it's still up in the air whether or not he did exactly that. Next thing that he brings up, and this is a comment he made in the video, after this whole discussion about his relationship, he makes a comment about, I listen to the law. And this is something that has been brought up repeatedly when it comes to controversy, is the fact that when it comes to, especially when it comes to marital laws, or laws with, particular people, it seems like he's very fluent. And that brought up a huge concern with a lot of people, especially when it comes to the fact that, he's had a lot of people who, or a few people who are underage or of age come and go from his house. And at this point, it's odd for a lot of people for him to know the exact laws when it comes to who is legally the right age for intercourse, or so on, or sexual intercourse. Now, after that, he brings up the criticism that has been brought up when it comes to him dealing with relationships, as well as talks about his military career. Actually makes a brief mention of his military career, although for some reason, I don't know, it was odd to me because he's, for a few of his videos, just talk shit about the military. Goes on to claim that his in his quote-unquote career, he exceeded expectations. Which, again, that was an odd mention for me, especially with the fact that he's talked a lot of shit about the military and how, quote-unquote, poorly they're managed when it comes to people who are put in and how they deal with situations. Hell, he was even complaining about the fact that, people were trying to teach him survival tactics in a survival training. Which, again, is odd. After that, he then discusses, which I had a feeling this was going to come up, discusses the criticism, or at least, as he's putting it, hate. And goes to make a remark that YouTube only promotes hate comments, or hate content.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready? Ready!
Now, I don't know about anybody else, but especially when it comes to drama or, criticism, and this is just me personally, I've noticed that especially when it comes to criticism or criticizing other people, that has been on the decline, and YouTube itself has been attacking channels like mine, where we criticize people's actions, which I will say shouldn't be happening, considering the fact that it's, criticism, aka freedom of speech, and in a sense, YouTube would be impeding on our First Amendment right. But all in all, I've noticed that that's something that's happening. And at this point, the real thing that they're really going to promote is, what is, what's the word? Pretty much censored or neutered content. But then again, they still promote dipshits like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, or Tana Mojo, and let's face it, unfortunately they have audiences that are mostly kids, and they're not the best people. So I think all I am gonna say is YouTube is weird, and I don't think we can really kind of sum up who they promote and who they don't, because at one point they could be promoting gaming channels again or animation, but then right off the bat promote somebody else. We don't know. I guess at this point, whatever they perceive as marketable, as well as safe for their website. And unfortunately for you, Greg, you're not any of those things. Now, the next thing he brings up, which I thought was kind of funny, was the fake outs. For those who don't remember, he was doing a bunch of fake outs after his Patreon was taken down. It was a long slew of fake outs. And he goes off saying that everybody perceived it as real. Sure, Greg. Sure. You do realize that especially if you watch the content that people made on your videos, a lot of people knew right off the bat that those were fake. But if I may make one remark, a lot of people had the notion that some of the emotions expressed were somewhat in correlation to how you felt about your Patreon being taken down. So in a sense, the emotion for the videos was real, but the freakouts itself were not. So you weren't really fooling anybody, but a lot of people did see that there was something real to your freakout videos. After this, he then makes remarks about, or at least, let's be fair, complains about negativity towards him. Pretty much pulling the whole poor me attitude, and blaming the algorithm. That the algorithm is promoting criticism videos on Greg. I know he calls it hate videos, but let's be fair, it's criticism. And I have to refer to my previous comment before on the fact that at this point, when it comes to criticism, it doesn't seem like YouTube is really promoting that kind of content. If anything, and again, YouTube will promote whatever they want to promote. Their algorithm is broken. Literally broken when it comes to what content is promoted. Yeah, at this point, it's all in YouTube's hands. Not us, not the stupid algorithm that people like you try to blame. At this point, it's all on YouTube. They're the ones that promote this shit. Or promote whatever they want to promote. And again, at this point, making Onision content isn't promoted. So don't claim that. The next thing, going on to the next thing, because this is funny. He talks about people with agendas that discuss him, which I find that kind of hypocritical, considering the fact that when it comes to discussing situations or topics, Greg himself has repeatedly attacked Shane Dawson, has repeatedly attacked people like Eugene Cooney. Hell, when certain people didn't want anything or any involvement with him, he decided to make content of those people. People who have been out of his life, he made videos of. When there's a quiet, week, he starts trying to stir up drama with people that don't want to be associated with him. So, I'm sorry, don't start attacking people that, or at least claiming that people have a quote-unquote agenda, when you're just as guilty for the same things that you claim others for doing. After that, he makes remarks about sites like OnlyFans, Twitter, and Twitch are safe. Safe platforms for him. And it's funny he mentions that, because especially for OnlyFans and Twitter, here's the basic thing, and this is I honestly think this is the reason why he considers those two safe. It's the fact that with those two, you can private, especially for Twitter, you can private your Twitter, so only a select few can be on it. At least, people of his choosing. So people that, have drank the Kool-Aid, they're on the site. People who are on OnlyFans are paying him. So the only people that will listen to his rhetoric are allowed on there. As for Twitch, you can't really make that claim, considering, Twitch, for a lot of the content creators, or quite a few of them, Alinity probably being one of the biggest offenders, as well as some of the other people, have a long slew of controversy that follow them, and just like you, hate it when they are criticized, and try to pull every tactic in the book to shut people up. Even as goes far as to shutting people's platforms, which in a sense is, screwed up. By the way, speaking of things that are screwed up, to continue going through the points that I thought deemed important to talk about in his video, he claims, or at this point, the hypocrisy of him claiming that people do hate comments or hate content, and I'm using quotes, by the way, are drunk on their own ego.
You serious?
And it's funny that he says this, because and this is more of an addition to one of the earlier points about people with agendas, because when it comes down to it, and especially when it comes to the situations with Shane Dawson and Eugene Cooney, what does he always say when it comes to discussing those topics, especially when he is proven wrong or nobody wants to listen to him? I was right. Almost every video, every few seconds, I'm always right. I've been right this entire time. Even though, in a sense, I've been proven wrong. I was always right. I'm sorry, but if that's not drunk on his own ego, I don't know what is. After that little, tidbit, we then get him remarking that he wants to leave the site, or leave YouTube, and wants to, quote-unquote, wait out the hate. Which I think all I can remark is, good luck with that. Also, I'm kind of wondering how long this hiatus is going to be, considering every time he says he's going to be gone, probably within a couple of days to a week later, he's back on making videos. Actually, and not even then, considering the fact that he's re-uploading old content with his other channels. I mean, let's face it. If he was actually done, and if he wanted to take a break, stop re-uploading old shit. After that, he then proceeds to once again bring up Shane Dawson. And at this point, when it comes to the whole Shane Dawson thing, it's the usual notes, claiming he's right, that he was always right, kind of just stroking his own ego, or lack of at this point, kind of trying to justify himself, which for a lot of people, that's not really going to work. And like I said, even if he was right, who the fuck cares at this point? Nobody wants to listen to an asshole 90% of the time, especially when they're constantly an asshole about what they have to say. After that point, he claims that we speak only out of emotion and not logic, which I think the only way I can reply to that is it's really funny coming from him, since a lot of the stuff he talks about is out of emotion and not logic. So, hypocrisy at its best. And I don't get that comment. I really don't. It's, again, very, very hypocritical for him to say that. He also talks about how, and when it comes to, I guess, winning the favor of the masses, or at least when it comes to dealing with criticism anyway, makes a remark about choosing the lesser of two evils. And he goes off, and that was what he used, lesser of two evils. He goes on to talk about that in order to win the favor, which is something he doesn't want to do, he would have to be in combatants with a individual that is equally bad that everybody hates, and feels that only then would people probably, quote-unquote, have his side. I'm sorry, no. I don't think that's gonna happen. If there's somebody that, again, is equally hated as you, Greg, or disliked, more likely people are gonna talk about that discussion or that topic. But at the same time, I mean, people are gonna wonder why. Like, why you're getting involved, especially with your track record. So, people wouldn't probably join your cause, more so just be confused as to why you're getting involved in the first place. But, as you kind of stated, it's more of like getting some sort of recognition from the masses. But I guess it's a good thing that you said that you wouldn't go that route. Because, let's face it, a lot of people would just assume that you're being fake and not actually taking the whole thing seriously. After that whole discussion for like maybe a minute or two, and after another 2 minutes of him talking about Shane Dawson again, freaking obsessing over the guy, he does a lot of projecting when it comes to a particular topic. And one of them is the fact that when it comes to deaths that are expressed on social media, he tries to claim the moral high ground. He makes an example that, what if you found 3 corpses in your basement? No one would care, or you wouldn't care. I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure if somebody found 3 corpses in their basement, more than likely they'd call the cops and freaking, hopefully there's an investigation to find out who they are and where they come from. So, yeah, Greg, you can shut the fuck up about that. I don't think you know what you're talking about. And, by the way, that was a poor example that you decided to use. Which, in going into the same vein of this discussion, he then proceeds to go on to say that we want to be heroes. That all we want is attention. Which, that's not the case. We don't strive to be heroes. Do we really feel like heroes talking about your bullshit every time you want to open your damn mouth? No, we don't. It's, at this point, sickening. Especially when it comes to everything you say and do. And it's funny when, when it comes down to it, people, for some reason, still support your content or support your personality. And it's always, and I will say it's funny, especially with the fact that when it comes to dealing with, or at least looking at your channel at this point, the only thing you put on there is the people that agree with you. Which I personally think that's sad and pathetic. After that, he then claims that, doing a little bit more projecting, claims he mentioned the deaths of 30 people, and all people talked about were the deaths of celebrities. And I think I should point out that when it comes to deaths, he only does this when people call him out for bullshit. There was, I can't remember the exact name of this artist, but there was a Christian artist who was shot during a concert. And after just Twitter blows up with, people trying to give their respects, what does this fucker do? Oh yeah, that's right. He's very, very despicable towards the fans, the family, and friends of this person who died from a shooting. And after that, proceeds to make remarks about, bulletproof vests, makes remarks about how people don't respect real deaths. Which, he didn't do that before when it comes to, deaths all around the world. And actually, that brings up the next point he made. People don't care about human lives, and if we did, we'd be talking about it 24/7. I think all I can say at this point is he's a fucking hypocrite, considering the only times he ever talked about deaths was when he was called out for being a insufferable prick. And then proceeding to do exactly what I was saying just a second ago, mentioning deaths from all around the world, claiming moral superiority. Which, yeah, that's not how that works, dude. After this, he then proceeds to bring him his exes. Shocker, who would have saw that coming? And then begins to stroke his ego, claiming people are saying thank you for his videos. I'm going to say right now, it's always awesome when he says this, because I start to think, who is actually saying thank you? Besides the people that, at this point, like, very few people that are actually listening to him, who the hell is saying thank you for these videos? Especially with a lot of the manipulation and the freaking just obnoxious behavior that this guy presents. I don't get it. He also claims, I think this just adds on to that. I think it's funny. Like right after that, he claims that he is a positive influence for the community.
I smell Jar. You're ugly.
Now, after that remark, he then proceeds to make a claim that we destroyed his reputation by lying. Which, I don't know how to respond to that at this point. Gosh. Dude, I'm gonna say this flat out, and I know you're not gonna listen because, you know, you live in your little echo chamber, but, let's be real here. Your reputation was destroyed by your own hands. By the stuff that you've posted not just on YouTube, but on Twitter. So you yourself destroyed your own reputation. So stop blaming other people and blame yourself for once. Next point after that, he goes on to talk about how his spouse, Kai, has a degree in psychology. And for a minute or two, talks about how he was diagnosed by his spouse for aspects of narcissism. Which, I'm going to be honest here, I don't know how I feel about that. And I don't know, it just, to me, it seems like that would be a conflict of interest, especially if Kai is in a relationship with Greg. There may be some, I don't know, what would be the proper word? I guess just bias. But at this point, when it comes to Greg diagnosing himself, I think it should be heard from somebody who actually practices. Even a degree means nothing at this point. Go to somebody who daily practices therapy or psychology, who's made an actual job on it and not sitting around, and more likely sitting around at home. So, yeah, find somebody else to diagnose you, Greg. You're not going to fool anyone. And it actually brings up something else, too. Because, oh boy. This was interesting, to say the least. Especially when it comes to his spouse. This is something I've always noticed with when it comes to Greg talking about his spouse. At this point, we never hear from the spouse. We always hear from Greg about how things are. And I don't know about you, and in a second he talks about manipulation. I've always found, especially when dealing with manipulation on and off work, and especially when it comes to relationships, the more dominant, or I guess the more controlling individual will speak for the people under them. So when it comes down to everything in the relationship of Greg and Kai, I always find it odd that we never hear from Kai themselves, and we only hear from Greg's mouth how things are. Which, I don't know. It just sets off a lot of red flags for me. But I think you guys know what I'm talking about. After this, he then makes a claim that he doesn't make content that lies or manipulates. So, okay, I'm going to say this, and this might come as a shock to a lot of people. Probably not, but I think it should be addressed. Greg, you know the videos that you make when it comes to combating your exes? The videos that, when it comes down to the whole situation, will only hear your side. You know the videos where you've claimed that people have come to you and apologized, I'm using quotes by the way, apologized, that they have reconciled with you, that even though, like, after you say these things, you have some of your exes who are going on Chris Hansen, furious about you talking about them and continuously bringing them up. You know the videos where you shamed your exes, shamed people you used to be associated with? I'm sorry, no, that's lies and manipulation, dude. And to refer to what I said just a little bit ago when it comes to, you know, hearing one side, it's, again, to me, it's odd that we only hear from the one side. And when it comes down to the whole situation, there's two sides to every story, not one. And it always seems like, especially when it comes to Greg's situations, what's the usual factor? Oh, it's not me, it's them. They're the problem. I'm always the one that's the victim. Poor me, poor me. Yeah, that's usually how it is. So, I'm sorry. You not making lies and manipulation in your content? Yeah, you're full of shit. Which, by the way, it's funny we're talking about that because I'm sure you made money on those videos, right? And at some point you claim that we only make videos for money. Yeah, no. No. You can't assume what people's motives are when it comes to making content on you or other topics. Sure, some people do it for the money. I mean, there's one particular individual that we all know and despise that at this point will sell his soul to make money on YouTube. I think you guys know who I'm talking about. Not just Greg, the other one. But when it comes down to it, is that really bad that people, you know, if their video does good, they make money off of it? I mean, I'm not making any cash on this. And more than likely, this will barely hit 1,000. But in a sense, all of us have our own motivations to doing these videos. Again, some people do it for money. Some people, like myself, who, you know, have dealt with people who have been manipulative or have had experience with people who have been manipulative, see manipulation and the fact that nothing's getting done and discusses it. So you can't lump everybody into one category and claim that you know our motives. You can't. Because each and every individual has their own reason to doing things. After the whole discussion about Kai, he then proceeds to make a claim that he doesn't make content that lies or manipulates people. This is coming from the guy who claims he's the most positive influencer on YouTube, yet made, tons of videos shaming women and girls for their bodies, claiming it to be body positivity. When it comes to your personal life, especially since, we're only hearing it out of your mouth, you continuously kind of use a certain narrative when it comes to particular people in your life. Again, when it comes to, as I said a little bit ago, when it comes to people that, talk about situations, I always find it odd that we only hear from one person. Especially when, at this point, when it comes to a situation or there's two sides, and we never hear from the other side, it makes you wonder. Especially when, it comes to situations where, some of Greg's exes wanted everything private, he still continued to manipulate the narrative about how they are. And I'm sorry, but weren't you trying to claim that Billy was a drug dealer at one point? And were you not trying to manipulate Billy when you tried to get her to stay in the relationship? You told her to shave her head. You told her to dye her hair or her head an ugly color. Didn't you want her to tattoo "I'm a liar"? Completely shame her, chain her to your basement? Yeah, I'm gonna say this right now. That doesn't show a good look for you, Greg. He then proceeds to make a remark that he is the most honest YouTuber on the platform, but then claims that the bar is very low in terms of that remark, which he doesn't give an example, so I don't know what the hell he's talking about, or don't want to know at this point. But it's, it's the usual, I'm, morally superior than you, me, I, bullshit. He then makes a remark about people's voices should be questioned in terms of, the commentary and criticism, which, I just find that kind of ironic that he's saying that. Especially with the fact that when people have questioned him, he's hidden himself away. In fact, he's doing that again because people have, discussed him. That people discuss his actions. So, yeah. Again, it doesn't show a very good look for you, Greg. He then proceeds to mention the fact that he puts all of his videos as charity and claims he's doing something good with charity. Yeah, I doubt you are, Greg. I seriously doubt you are. Again, you want to claim the superiority, but especially when it comes to a lot of other people that have, done charities, especially when it comes in terms to your content or the content on you, they've actually, shown that they were giving to charity. Whereas you, let's face it, you're one of those people that claims, just supporting or giving acknowledgement to a charity is giving to charity. I'm sorry, but that's not how that works. After this, he then claims or makes a remark that he doesn't want to hide who he is, and he wants to grow as a person. And I think that it should be said, even after saying that, he's making videos saying that he's going on hiatus from YouTube. And I'm sorry to say this, but grow how, Greg? Considering the fact that, you know, especially when it comes to people giving, you know, their thoughts on how you could improve, you refused. That's not growth. That's you being stuck as the same person from 11 to 12 years ago. Only you've ruined a few people as that time has passed. So, good guy Greg, you are not. After that, he makes a remark about being very forgiving, which I find that laughable that he's saying that, and that he holds on to no anger towards, you know, people, which I have to refer back to, you know, him having a grudge and pretty much constantly making video after video on his exes, Eugene Cooney, and Shane Dawson, and various other people who he thinks, quote-unquote, wronged him. So, yeah. And in the same vein, he also brings up his father, who, again, I should point out, especially since we're only hearing it on his side, is a sign of manipulation, bringing up, you know, one of the other points that we discussed in this video. As we're getting closer to the end of the video itself that he made, he claims he doesn't have any hate in his heart and tries to play the big man. I think I referred to what I said just a second ago about his exes and Eugene Cooney and Shane Dawson. He makes a comment that he is leaving YouTube. I give it a day, maybe. Probably not even that, considering he uploads old content. Makes a comment about manipulation of viewership in terms of videos. And then, for the final remarks on people to quit social media. Which, honestly, I think if anything, that might do more good for Greg than a lot of other people. Because I think it's clear that Greg, especially when he does videos like this where he's just sitting, looking at a camera, and just spouting out for 30 minutes, at this point, it'd probably be best for him to be off social media for a while. Off Facebook, off YouTube. Actually, I don't think he's on Facebook, but on Twitter. Pretty much anything where he unironically proceeds to spat out nonsense or BS and manipulation, lies, and so on. Just to refer to your comment, you know, Greg, you should, you know, for the time being, quit YouTube or quit social media. Get some perspective in life rather than being behind a computer monitor all day. Hell, actually, you know what? If anything, because you talk about how you waste time making videos, why don't you spend time with your family? That'd be good. But, you know, that would probably be me assuming what he does with his family, which is a big no-no. So I'm gonna stop. But for that was his recent video. This video itself is really long, and this may be the new format that I present any topic videos. So let me know in the comments if you guys like it. Because, like I said, I went through almost every point that seemed or was deemed important to talk about. Though, I'm going to say right now, in terms of what is said and done, it's nothing new. It really isn't. So, yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to end it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. If you guys have anything you'd like to say or leave in the comments, leave a comment down below. Like, share, subscribe. If you're a new subscriber, please subscribe. If you're an old one, if you aren't getting any notifications, click on the notification bell for future content. If you guys want to follow us on social media, you can also look up the links for myself and the Novakast crew in the description down below. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one, and take care. Peace.